Everyone laughed when the Admiral asked the homeless woman about her service history. He stopped laughing when her name pulled a classified file from the depths of his memory. The laughter hadn't even finished echoing when the air shifted. The Admiral's smile froze, sharp and brittle, as the woman slowly lifted her eyes from the pavement. They were pale, steady, and unafraid. In the first 5 seconds, the tone of the street changed, from mockery to something tight and dangerous. People felt it before they understood it. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The woman sat against the cold brick wall outside the veterans' clinic, wrapped in a frayed coat that had once been navy blue. Her hair was gray, knotted by wind and time. A paper cup trembled in her hand, half filled with coins and rainwater. Most people passed her without seeing her. Today, an admiral had stopped. Admiral Charles Havers was in uniform, medals aligned like polished teeth across his chest. He had come for a ceremony inside, cameras waiting, aides hovering. He'd noticed her only because one of his junior officers had snorted quietly, pointing at the faded patch on her sleeve. Service history, the Admiral had asked, amusement thick in his voice. You. That was when she looked up. Her name was Evelyn Cross. Few people remembered it anymore. Fewer still knew what it once meant. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she studied the man in front of her. The immaculate boots, the spotless gloves, the confidence of someone who had never been forgotten by the world. Her fingers tightened around the cup. Somewhere down the street, a delivery truck backfired and she flinched before she could stop herself. Evelyn hadn't planned on speaking today. Silence was safer. Silence didn't ask questions that echoed at night. I served, she said at last, her voice rough but controlled. A long time ago. The Admiral chuckled. A few aides smiled. Someone behind them whispered, loud enough to sting. Sure you did. Evelyn felt the familiar heat of shame crawl up her spine. For a moment, she considered letting it go. She had learned to survive on letting things go. But something in the Admiral's eyes, casual dismissal, careless cruelty, hooked into a place she'd kept locked for decades. I was special operations, she added quietly. The laughter stopped completely. Admiral Havers felt it then. That strange sensation behind the ribs. Recognition, cold and unwelcome. He searched her face again, really looked this time. The scar at her temple, the way she sat balanced despite exhaustion, the way her eyes tracked every movement without seeming to. What unit? He asked, too quickly. Evelyn exhaled, the sound shook. Black Harbor, she said. 3rd Ghost Company. The name hit like a dropped plate. One aide's tablet slipped from his hands and clattered onto the pavement. A small crowd had begun to form, patients, passers-by, a couple of reporters who sensed blood in the water. Murmurs spread, uncertain but growing. Black Harbor didn't officially exist. It never had. Admiral Havers felt sweat gather under his collar. He remembered the briefings, the red folders, the kill tallies that made even hardened officers go quiet. One operative, codenamed Widowmaker, stood out in every report. Surgical, relentless. 200 confirmed kills across covert theaters that never made the news. He swallowed. What was your call sign? He asked, barely audible. Evelyn closed her eyes. Widowmaker, she said. The world seemed to tilt. She thought she'd never see that look again, the look of someone realizing they were standing too close to a ghost. She was wrong. The crowd sensed the shift. Phones came out. Whispers sharpened into disbelief. A veteran in a wheelchair rolled closer, his jaw clenched. He knew the name. Everyone in certain circles did. Evelyn's hands were shaking now. Not from fear, from memory. She remembered the heat of desert nights, the smell of cordite, the weight of decisions that couldn't be undone. She remembered orders she followed and ones she questioned too late. She remembered the moment she'd been left behind after a mission went sideways, officially listed as dead to preserve deniability. Dead was easier. You were declared KIA, the Admiral said. Yes, she replied. And forgotten. The words landed heavier than any accusation. A gust of wind swept dust across the sidewalk. Evelyn's cup tipped, coins spilling and rolling like small echoes of the past. A young woman from the crowd knelt to help gather them. Others joined in instinctively, quietly. Moral tension hung thick in the air. Was this woman a hero, a weapon? Both. The answer depended on who was asking and what they needed to believe to sleep at night. Admiral Havers straightened slowly. Cameras were rolling now. This was no longer a private moment. "You deserve recognition," he said, voice formal. "Support." Evelyn laughed once. It wasn't kind. "I deserved a lot of things," she said. "What I got was a sidewalk." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then from the end of the street, engines hummed. Black SUVs rolled in, doors opening in perfect unison. Soldiers stepped out, quiet, coordinated, unmistakable. They filled the sidewalk like a tide, boots striking in rhythm. The crowd gasped. A commanding officer approached Evelyn and knelt, lowering himself to her eye level. "Ma'am," he said, "we've been looking for you." Evelyn's breath caught. Her chest ached with something dangerously close to hope. She hadn't known she was still being looked for. They wrapped her in a clean coat, offered water, space, dignity. The Admiral stood back, smaller now, as history corrected itself in real time. As Evelyn was helped to her feet, the crowd watched in stunned silence. Some cried. Some saluted. A few simply stood with hands over their mouths, witnessing a truth they hadn't known existed 5 minutes earlier. She paused before getting into the vehicle, turning once more to the Admiral. "Next time," she said gently, "don't laugh so fast." Then she was gone. Weeks later, her story would ripple outward, into hearings, reforms, quiet apologies that came too late to fix everything but mattered all the same. Evelyn Cross would have a home again. Care. A name spoken with respect, not because she had taken lives, but because she had survived being erased. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits and it finds its way back. And sometimes, the ghosts we ignore are the ones who once stood between us and the dark. If this story moved you share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. And if you're not already part of this community, subscribe and stay a while. You're always welcome by this fire.